All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ballhawks podcast. A little somber of a mood today as both the Seahawks and Ravens have been eliminated officially from the playoffs this year. We'll get more into that in a little bit. We're going to have a little bit of fun before we go down sorrow lane here. I'm your host, Steve Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at @SSFisher87. And my co-host, all Seahawks swagged up from early this morning. Don't ask me how I know that, but I do know that. Christopher, we sometimes call him Dr. Nefario Phillips. How are you today?
Oh God, I feel like I should know this, but I don't.
Little yellow creatures.
Is it okay? It's Despicable Me.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay.
He's the. We were actually watching that just before you popped by, and I was like, "Oh, I got to turn this off, or else he's gonna think of it right away."
No, not because the Ravens game is on, but because it might. You didn't want to show your cards.
Yeah, I mean, I got a reputation to uphold on this podcast now.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, something like that.
Many different reputations that you must uphold on this podcast.
Not sure how or why I have to, but apparently I have to.
Yeah, apparently that's what I've been told, anyways.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. Episode, I don't know, I lost count. 45?
46.
46. Yes, yeah, told you I lost count. I think that's the Kenny Easley episode. I don't know. Dating myself there because that goes way before my Seahawks time. He's either 45 or 46, I feel like, though. Anyways, happy to be back for another episode. Be sure to follow us over on Twitter at ballhawks_pod. I was listening today, and I know Steve didn't say it, so be sure to follow Steve at @SSFisher87, and you can find me at PhillipsChris12. Steve, I mean, we did see each other this morning, but how was your Sunday?
Well, I don't even know if I should respond to that. I for sure dropped it.
I'm gonna have to go back and check the tape.
You're gonna have to do a little bit of replay investigation.
Yeah.
Is it before or after the 2-minute warning? Like, is this gonna be a booth review, or are you throwing the challenge flag on this one?
Booth review.
Yeah. Oh, good call, because you would have lost your challenge flag.
Yeah, we're going upstairs on this one. I need those timeouts just in case.
Yeah, good Sunday. One of the first few Sundays, or really days at all, that it's been just sunny outside for a while. So that was really nice to see the sun and know it still exists here in the cloudy winter Okanagan days. Booth says he gave the Twitter handle. There we go. My boy Liam chiming in says... I guess now we've just hired Liam as our booth guy. So congratulations. It comes with no pay and just real good handshakes or high fives, whatever your choice is. But we do have some really good news, Chris. I know I guess we dropped this a little earlier in the week, but we have teamed up with a local company as a partnership, Lake Therapy Apparel. They're based out of a Soyuz, ethically sourced apparel, just kind of has that small town kind of vibe to it. We've got some gear coming our way pretty soon here. I think there's, little delays with how bad the roads are right now. We were hoping to have it for this episode, but that's okay. We'll post some stuff on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. You can see Chris just put up on the banner there that if you go to laketherapyapparel.ca, and when you're checking out your gear, use the code BALLHAWKS for 10% off. And Chris, I first came across this company every year around Christmas time at the I think they call it the Christmas fair at Prospera Place. Is that what they call it? The big one?
The Christmas fair market, whatever.
Yeah, market, whatever it is. And of course there's 1,000 different booths or something like that. And their booth kind of just stood out to me. So I don't know what it was, why it kind of stood out to me, but The more I started looking into this company, it was somebody I wanted to partner up with for sure. They use local artists in all of their designing and drawings and stuff like that. Sourcing small Canadian U.S. suppliers, and honestly, the merch is just really cool looking. I won't show everybody what we got yet. We'll do that grand reveal another time, but some really cool swag here, and of course, being a loyal listener, you guys get 10% off. So check them out, and more to come with that. How was your Sunday, Chris?
It was good. I mean, nothing crazy. I did witness a car accident after leaving your place today, which I must say that was probably the first time I've ever actually been like. Actually, no, that's not true. It was the set. It hasn't happened too many times that I've been right there to see somebody else's car get hit. Guy pulled into a roundabout right in front of a dump truck. Poor decision. But other than that, the regular grocery shop once.
Oh, it looks like we have
pop-ups popping up on my screen right now.
Oh, there you are. You're back in now here, Chris.
Oh, did something happen?
You're a little glitchy today.
I just had a bunch of pop-ups pop up on my screen.
Okay.
Yeah, all the porn in the background is trying to filter its way to the front.
Maybe use better antivirus if you're going on those kinds of sites.
Don't you guys know to steal your phone for that stuff now?
Still just ruin a phone, right? I mean, my phone's probably worth more than my computer now, though.
Yeah.
So a lot to get to in the NFL. Obviously we're going to get into all of the football stuff that happened today, but the first one I wanted to mention because it's just so damn funny, and this guy is one of my favorite NFL people of all time, is Steve Smith Sr. And I love him more than just because he was a Baltimore Raven. He's just honestly I just feel like he's one of the most real guys when it comes to speaking his opinion. He's never been shy of that. I remember the one, I can't remember who it was, but it was like training camp or something like that. And he got into a skirmish with like a D tackle or something, like this huge guy on his team. And he just beat the living tar out of him. All like 5'9" of Steve Smith Sr. But he obviously got into the headlines this week for his tweet back at Baker Mayfield. And I had it up and now I've lost it. So did you see it?
I did.
Well, what was your first reaction? I go actually pull it up here.
That Steve Smith just put Baker Mayfield in a body bag. There's like we were talking about it in our group chat, and there's nothing that Baker can say or do to come back from what Steve Smith said to him. Like, he just absolutely shut him down. Like, Baker was complaining about the media, and it was basically just like Steve Smith saying, shut your mouth and play better. But a lot more, pointed words than that.
Now, I still can't find it. Do you want to try and look it up? I've got a few. Yeah, I mean, there's just something about Steve Smith Sr. where I just love the rawness of it. Like, he's just he does not shy away from any sort of comment, whatever it is. And basically it's like, just shut up and realize that you are the reason this team is failing on offense, basically. We don't actually have to pull the tweet up. I just thought it was really fun. I'm sure everybody knows what we're talking about. But yeah, I can't remember. I think I put it in our group chat, but
yeah, it was, so Baker Mayfield tweeted at one of the, here it is. So Baker was replying to Mary Kay Cabot. Anyways, saying Baker Mayfield must resolve his differences with Kevin Stefanski soon in case they need to coexist next season. Also, some names that will be on the radar if they don't. He replied to her saying, clickbait, you and many other Cleveland local media continue to be drama-stirring reporters with no sources or facts. Don't put words in my mouth so you can put food on your table. I'm not your puppet. And then Steve Smith, a day later, clickbait, and then he put 3, laughing emojis. The way you play is clickbait. We, with quotations, the media aren't putting words in your mouth. Son, the way you play is taking food off the table of your teammates and coaches. Do me a favor, STFU, and play football. You're holding this team back, and everyone knows it. #facts.
Oh, he's so good. Like, what's the clickbait between it? Like, obviously there's something going on, whether it's like he's not jiving with Kevin Stefanski's offense now, or Stefanski's not feeling he's the like quarterback of the future. We all thought, or not we all thought, it was basically implied that Odell Beckham could not coexist in this offense because he wasn't good enough. He goes to LA and he seems pretty damn good still, which would then lead me to believe that maybe Baker's the problem, or I don't know. Maybe Kevin Stefanski's offense is, I don't know. I'm going to leave that one there. There's so much to get into on that one. Maybe we'll have Ted in again in the off season to come on and chat what he thinks they should do going forward. Cause I know he doesn't want to see Baker get paid long-term right now.
No, I mean, there was, I've said it on this show that the Cleveland Browns were the paper champions this year. Everyone looked at their roster and said, oh God, this is such a good team. And they should go far in the playoffs and blah, 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 blah. And obviously there's something going on there that is causing that team to not perform up to how they should. I mean, with the amount of talent they have there, they definitely, didn't finish the way I think they should have.
Yeah. And again, we'll get more into that in some off-season episodes because if you remember correctly, I had the Ravens winning the AFC North. They finished 4th out of 4 teams in the AFC North. So what do I know? What do I know? Nothing.
Hey, guess who else finished 4th in their division?
Yeah.
That's why we do a podcast, buddy. Oh, other way. Hey.
We can't even like virtually high five. Maybe we're the bad luck charm. Like, though we just started the podcast, our teams weren't in the basement. Here we are.
Hey, our teams are awesome. Let's start a podcast so we could talk about them. And then they missed the playoffs in the first year of our podcast. God damn it.
This is so much fun.
Don't blame us, guys.
Yeah. Don't blame
us. Ravens fans, feel free to at Steve, at SS Fisher 87, in case you missed that.
Yeah. At me.
It's all his fault.
At me, bro. Okay, let's get into some stuff today. There's a really hilarious one that we got to talk about, and I know you didn't see this one, or maybe you watched like a replay of it because I sent you. Oh, I guess I sent you the link to it. The New York Football Giants. What in the hell are you doing? So the scenario was 3rd and 9, and they're on their own 4-yard line. So, okay, you don't want to take a safety. What do you do? What do most traditional teams do if they're concerned about like offensive line? What would they do, Chris?
Oh, I know all about conservative play calls. I have a conservative head coach.
What would you do?
Draw.
A draw. A handoff. You run it. You run the ball.
Oh, we're gonna throw it. Psych. Draw.
Yeah. You hand the ball off if you're concerned about taking a sack to try and get, some extra yards. At that point, you're probably not running for 9 yards, but it's worth a try. No, instead, Joe Judge decided to allow the call of a quarterback sneak. Let me repeat myself there in case you missed that. 3rd down and 9 yards to go, and you did a quarterback sneak. Quarterback sneaks at the best of times. You want 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards if you fall an extra yard forward. That's like the most you could ever hope for on a quarterback sneak. Just what, like, does you what you in our, when we were talking, you were like, oh, are they trying to get Joe Judge fired? And then I was like, dude,
I call it the how to get Joe Judge fired formation.
But it's not even that. It's how does Joe Judge get himself fired? Because he has the ultimate call to say, like I don't know who their offensive coordinator is, but I would be like, hey, dude, we're not doing a quarterback sneak here. Like, that's stupid. We're going to look stupid. We're going to be the laughing stock of the NFL.
What was even better was like the formation. Like, they had 3 running backs lined up. Like, it almost looked like they were going to take a knee.
Yeah, I thought that's what they were actually going to do.
Yeah, it almost looked like victory formation, but we all know the Giants don't know what victory formation is. So
they're like, we can't use that when it has the word victory in it.
Yeah.
Hey, what else can we run?
Coach, we don't have that in the playbook.
You know, when they like take a knee, but they like move over to like the other hash where like their kicker likes to kick from. That would be hilarious if they did that. My
favorite is Tom Brady, because Tom Brady will like lean forward to take a knee so he doesn't lose a yard.
Oh yeah, because those stats, baby. Those fantasy managers love him.
That's exactly it. It's to keep his he's finally over 1,000 rushing yards in his career.
Oh really?
He doesn't want to lose any of those. He has been for a few seasons now, but he's not willing to give up any of those yards anymore.
That's wild. All right, so there was a couple records being set, Chris, and I know you voiced your displeasure of stats and records, but I think that was more because of the types of records or things that were being set were so just ridiculous. Like, Ben Roethlisberger never loses a game after like the Thanksgiving weekend when they play at home wearing their white jerseys or whatever it was. But there are some, big milestones that were set.
This week was like an Oprah episode. You get a record, and you get a record, and you get a record.
The funny thing is, this is going to be the old school thought people. This is going to be their argument as to why these records don't hold up. Oh, this isn't a record because you guys got an extra 17th game in there. And I was listening to, I think it was a Rich Eisen podcast on the weekend, and the conversation basically came down to like, okay, who do you believe holds the rushing title right now for rushing yards? And like a couple people, would say what, Chris? Who would be the rushing champ record?
Emmitt Smith.
No, in a season, you donkey.
Oh, Dickerson.
There you go. Eric Dickerson, most people would say he has the rushing.
Okay, but I got both right. Suck it.
You did get both right, but you just weren't paying attention to me.
No, I wasn't.
So, long story explained long, I guess, here. He basically said, well, if you consider Eric Dickerson the rushing champion, why don't you consider O.J. Simpson the rushing champ? Because he did 2,000 yards in just 14 games. So isn't that the standard we go to? Now you've added 2 extra games. My big thing is I just don't care. Records were meant to fall. I think some records are fun when they're so tough to get to, and then you beat those records. I don't care if you need a 17th game. I don't care if you need an 18th game. If you're having a great season is what that first means. So Jalen Waddle broke Anquan Bolden's receptions. I think Bolden had 102, if I'm not mistaken. And so that for a rookie pass catcher, Jalen Waddle now has the record for the most receptions in a year. Devontae Adams and Jamar Chase set franchise single season records for receiving yards for their teams, for the Green Bay Packers and Cincinnati Bengals. Also very cool. And then obviously I saw this one live. TJ Watt tied Michael Strahan with 22 and a half sacks.
And he actually did it in less games than Strahan because he missed 2 games this year.
True. I don't know how many games Strahan played. Did he play a full season with his? It's something I've never looked at, but regardless, like I don't care if he played all 17. Like he's just going out and doing his job. He's having a phenomenal year. Like when he gets sacks, they come in bunches, like 3, 4, 5 sometimes. So yeah, he obviously shares a record with Strahan for that one, and good for those guys.
Tom Brady broke the most completions in a single season. Drew Brees held the previous record with 471. Brady had 485 completions this season, so that was another one that got broken, I guess, today.
Yeah, and I mean, you would expect some of these records would get broken. The one I was really hoping that would get broken that didn't was Cooper Kupp setting the all-time receptions. I think it was Mike Thomas had the old record. I think he was like 4 short.
Isn't it Calvin Johnson?
So Calvin Johnson has the yards record, which I think he was like 30 or something short of that. But I'm talking just receptions in a year.
Okay.
I think Mike Thomas did like 130 or 132 or something like that. And I know Kupp needed 12 and he got 8. But he still put up 8 catches for 112 yards in that game. Like what he was doing this year was just otherworldly. It was awesome to see. And he was one of my favorite players coming out of the draft a few years ago as well. Last one before we get into the dark saga that are our off-season teams. The coaching carousel has already started, Christopher. This morning we woke up to the Denver Broncos firing Vic Fangio from his duties. Old man Victor, just a real treat this year to deal with, being a Ravens fan. I think he's best suited for a defensive coordinator position. Tried his hand at the head coach, didn't work out. I think, he'll still be a great asset to a team looking to pick up a defensive coordinator. That is, if he is willing to go back to just being a defensive coordinator. I
don't think the decision is necessarily his.
Well,
unless he doesn't want to coach at all.
Right. But here's the thing. I called this part when in our Google Docs here, the coaching carousel for a reason.
Yeah.
It always just boggles my mind where you take the same people who have failed in one organization and you just rotate them around. You're like, all right, you want to try it over here? Okay, cool. What about you? Oh, all right. Why don't you take this guy from us? And I just feel like there's got to be more creative ways to find the answers to your problems.
Like the rumors that the Jaguars, or actually it's not even a rumor, they've got the interview set up that the Jaguars are interviewing Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, right? Who has to, I don't know, help coach Bama go try to win a national championship tomorrow.
But he goes to Bama for what, 1 season? And he's already getting the shot to come back to the NFL?
Yeah. And I was talking with a few guys, our buddy Nick, who we play fantasy football with. He's a big Bama fan as well. And I was like, isn't it funny how Bill O'Brien was literally the laughing stock of the NFL. The joke was, if you needed to get good value out of somebody, go talk to Bill O'Brien. And he wasn't that great of a coach because his teams were losing. So it's just mind-boggling to me how these guys keep getting chance after chance after chance. And you're like, when does it ever stop? Like when do we start hiring, I don't know, people who have good resumes that maybe haven't tried their, hand in the NFL realm yet? Like I'm thinking we knew he was coming up as like a young offensive guru mastermind, but I'm sure there's more guys like Sean McVay who could do a just fine job of being a head coach in the NFL. To me, it's worth trying somebody new rather than just picking up somebody else's, offcast. Like these dudes got relieved from their job for a reason because they were not producing. And I know tomorrow we're going to see it where it's like, oh, this person is like rumored to go over here and that person's rumored to go over here. Like, I just don't get when this old man thought ever goes away. Like, it's such an old school football thought.
We see, I mean, it's not just football, right? Like we see it in professional hockey as well. It's the same guys getting the same jobs, doing the same thing. And it's somebody like they did one thing right once upon a time. And it's, a team hiring this person to be like, well, like maybe this time, like maybe they can like recapture that magic. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you said Fangio's out. Well, I mean, it sounds like Mike Zimmer is probably going to be out in Minnesota. So now does Denver go out and hire Mike Zimmer because he's also a defensive-minded coach, or do they want to go with an offensive-minded coach, like maybe a guy like Matt Nagy, who's also probably going to be on the outs, after tomorrow. They call the first Monday after the season, I think Black Monday or something like that.
Yeah,
because there's so many, people being fired and let go and whatever. I mean, there's even like, what's going to happen with Pete Carroll? Like nobody knows. Like I saw a thing the other day. It was like, nobody knows what Jody Allen plans to do. So it's like, we just play the waiting game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The other one that was really interesting to me, and just because of when, obviously I was doing some Ravens Steelers watch before the game started, and Steelers GM Kevin Colbert is going to step down after the 2022 Steelers draft, which is a very strange one for me because, like, when you look at Ben, this is his last rodeo. We'll see if that's actually true, by the way. Now you get a chance to restock this team and build this team up the way you really see the future of the Steelers going. So, like, if you're going to step down, why don't you just step down right now? Why are you waiting to do like one more draft to then leave? That part was kind of confusing to me.
He's probably done all the work already, right? Like all the scouting, all the back end work to go into this draft, that for someone to come in and take over that position with 3 or 4 months before the draft, maybe just doesn't want to leave the team in a position where they could be potentially shorthanded at such an important position within the organization.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that part. Like, you don't want to leave your guys just sort of high and dry. But like you said, there is still 3, 4. I think it's late April is usually the draft, so early almost May, 4 months. But whoever the new GM that you are going to put in there is going to have their own vision of where they see this team building, right? Like, that's a GM's job, is to, hire the right people in terms of coaches and people and executives and stuff like that, but also building a team up to see, how they can compete. And you kind of like build your identity as a GM. So it's kind of weird that you would build a team for just one more draft on how you see the team progressing, and then just let someone else take kind of your offloaded picks, right? Like, I don't know. That's just weird to me to start a GM tenureship when you're like, oh, but guess what? I'm going to pick all the players for you for this first year. You're like, okay, it sounds fun. I guess I'll just hope you do a good job and hope you think exactly like I do. So who knows? But yeah, tomorrow will be a very interesting day. Like you said, it's the Black Monday, and I have a feeling it's going to be a very busy Black Monday this year. Very busy.
Yeah, it usually is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be that one, like, there's going to be the ones that everyone knows about, like, okay, Mike Zimmer, Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
But then there's going to be like that one, like, holy crap moment, right?
Yeah.
And it may not happen tomorrow, but maybe it doesn't happen till after the playoffs, right? Maybe a team loses, like, I don't know, let's say the Rams, for example, just because they have so much talent, and a lot of people expect them to go far. Maybe they lose in the first round, and the Rams are like, okay, like we've seen enough from Sean McVay, like he can't, get us over the hump or something. I don't know, right?
Like you said, it would be a surprise one that nobody's kind of forecasting. Okay, let's get into our teams here. I'm going to start with you. I think I can never remember, but let's start with you. Your game's kind of fresh in your mind. Give us the Seahawks finale, the recap of the season.
Yeah, Seahawks finished out their season in Arizona, going up against the Cardinals. Finished up the season wearing their wolf gray jerseys that the fans have been clamoring for all season on Twitter, and like, why haven't you worn the gray jerseys yet? And I'm like, guys, they're gonna wear them in Arizona. Like, just patience. Like, they always wear them in Arizona. But which I was reminded that they actually did wear their green jerseys in Arizona a couple seasons ago. But regardless, I was fully expecting the gray jerseys this week in week 18, and they did not disappoint, and they did not disappoint on the field either. I know you kind of said that this episode is like the doom and gloom. We didn't make playoffs, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, I haven't been in the playoffs for a couple weeks. So this week was just like, I knew there was no hope of making playoffs. Let's just go enjoy the game, and whatever happens, happens. And the Seahawks came out.
You're further along in the stages of grief, eh?
Oh yeah.
Something just happened in the Vegas LA game. What happened?
Chargers just scored a touchdown, 29-28, no time left on the clock. Now, do the Chargers go big balls and go for 2 to try to win, or do they just kick the PAT to go to overtime?
You know what? Kick the PAT, tie it up, and tie the entire game, like we've been saying all week. I called it the doom and gloom episode because my team needed a handful of things to happen in order to make the playoffs. And I actually have, I think all of them actually did happen. But the one thing that couldn't happen was the Chargers and the Raiders tying, because then nobody would get that 7th seed. Each one of them would get 6 and 7 respectively. So the big discourse on Twitter was like, hey, does each team just take 15 kneel downs and just call it a day and be like, all right, you're in the playoffs, we're in the playoffs, we'll figure it out later. And Rich actually on the Rich Eisenat podcast, he actually asked Brandon Staley, would you do this? Just flat out. Is this something you do? And he was just like, no, we ain't doing that.
No. Especially against a division rival. Like, you want to do nothing more than to send your division rival home.
Right. As much as I would like the Steelers to like be on this cloud 9 all day being like, we're going to the playoffs, yes. And then they actually just need anything other than a sister kisser to get in the playoffs, and then it ends up being a tie. Oh my goodness, I would be so just freaking so happy.
Now, if this, like I'm at the point now, like this game is going to overtime. I want to see it. Like,
I want to see
obviously like play hard, but I want to see a tie. Like, more than anything, I want to see a tie now. Like, I want to see both teams kick a field goal, like just to like give the Steelers that much more hope, and all the Steelers fans that much more hope.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, like, okay, so the Raiders just won the toss. Okay, the Raiders are going to go kick a field goal. Like, oh yeah, okay, like this is it. We're going to get in. And then like the Chargers go kick a field goal. Okay, like this is going to prolong it. And then the game just ends.
Or imagine they've gone through this whole game, like a 29-29 game. They've been, Chargers had to come back to win it. And now they take the kneel. They're like, you know what? We'll just kneel for the 10 minutes in overtime.
I said I wouldn't do it for a whole game. I didn't discuss overtime.
You know what? We're just running out of players. We got to save them for the playoffs. We're sitting all of our starters now. That's what we're doing. We're sitting all of our starters. Nobody's going to score.
We would have to pause the show. Actually, so run to the liquor store, then restart the show and pop a bottle live on air and be like, the Steelers didn't make it. That reminds me of a funny thing my daughter said today. I turned on the Ravens Steelers game, and Carter, my 4-year-old, he goes, "I'm cheering for the Ravens," and then they're like, "Who are they playing?" I'm like, "The Steelers," and my 7-year-old daughter goes, "The Steelers? Aren't they the guys that cheat all the time?"
You're like, yeah, go to the candy drawer, help yourself. You done good today, kid.
Yes, Olivia. Yes, they are. Anyways, the Seahawks played a game today too.
Yeah.
I actually turned the Seahawks game on. Like, I just missed the opening kickoff kind of thing, so I was actually watching the Ravens Steelers game in overtime. Wanted to see how that finished, just to see what kind of mood you would be in today. But I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, it's 1:26 or whatever. I'm like, I better turn the Seahawks game on. Flip the channel. It's 12 seconds into the game, and the Cardinals had already scored a defensive touchdown. I'm like, what the hell did I miss?
Yeah.
And of course, friggin' Chandler Jones with the strip sack on Russ, and then some other defensive lineman with the scoop and score for like, he had to run like, I don't know, like 12 yards to get the defensive touchdown. I was like, well, that's not how I expected this game to start. And then the very next drive, the Seahawks, of course, get the ball right back because defensive touchdown. So second drive, and Russell Wilson totally redeems himself.
Nice.
He had a 43-yard touchdown to Tyler Lockett. Just, again, another one of those beautiful moon balls. Wilson to Lockett, Seahawks 316. We just scored a touchdown on your ass. Just love to see it. I mean, I don't know what it is about Tyler Lockett in State Farm Stadium or whatever the hell the Cardinals stadium is called, but he just is like a first ballot Hall of Famer every time he plays in that stadium. You know all about that. You beat me in fantasy last year with a massive Tyler Lockett game.
Oh, was that the 3 touchdown one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Favorite player.
200 yards, 3 touchdowns or something like insane like that.
And I barely beat you, I think, that week.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I needed all like 50 points that he gave me.
Yeah, he went absolutely off. So he had another big game. He had like 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was too bad he didn't get the extra 2 yards to get. I think it would have been like 6 straight 100-yard games or something like that. Would have been nice to see him get that, which I think would have been a franchise record as well. So you get a record.
You get a record, and you get a record. Everybody gets records.
On their second touchdown drive, the Seahawks, Russell Wilson had 2 big third down conversions, which was really nice to see. I don't remember what the final numbers were, but they had a really high percentage on third down today, which is they haven't been great on third down all season. So it was good to see them kind of, pull up their socks and, play well in the last game of the year. Their second big third down conversion, which was right before the Lockett touchdown. He went to second-year tight end Colby Parkinson, who just kind of like ran up and straddled like basically right where the first down marker was. Just kind of sat down, waited for the ball. Russ threw it to him right on the sideline. He made a nice toe tap catch on the sideline there for the first down, which was great to see. A young player have that sort of sense of awareness and ability to come down with a very important catch in that moment. What else? I mean, the defense looked great. The defense had, I think it was 5 sacks on Kyler Murray today. And I tweeted, which nobody replied back to me, but I don't know if the Seahawks have ever sacked Kyler Murray that many times in one game. Like, to be able to, like, he's
pretty slippery. Like, he'll either throw it away or, get ahead of the line of scrimmage, basically, right?
Just like duck behind. Like, he doesn't even have to duck. Just like stands behind his offensive line. Is like, everyone's like, where'd he go?
Yeah,
it's like that, old trick. It's like stand behind a tree and they can't see me. They can't see me here. That's Kyler Murray, like the whole game. Jordan Brooks, you get a record. He broke the franchise record for tackles in a season, which was previously held by Bobby Wagner. He finished this season with 183 tackles, which I think the previous record was 168, I want to say. Something like that.
So what you're saying is you calling out Jordan Brooks on Twitter was as dumb as what I had mentioned it on Twitter.
No, just wait. But wait, there's more.
It's a friggin' infomercial over here.
Jordan Brooks, you get another record. He tied Bobby Wagner for the single game tackle record with 20 tackles today.
Jeez.
If Jordan Brooks had made that extra tackle that he missed, he would have broken 2 records in one game.
Oh my goodness. You're so lucky I didn't know about all these things, or else I would have been ruthless on the internet line today.
He missed a pretty big tackle. And like we were discussing on Twitter today, my point more so was that like I said, like my tweet was, I love Jordan Brooks, but Bobby would have made that tackle, and then you got all defensive of Jordan Brooks for some reason.
I didn't get defensive. I'm calling out stupid when I see it.
Oh, anyways, my point was that, I mean, there's a lot of rumors that the Seahawks are going to move on from Bobby Wagner because he has a $20 million cap hit next year, and I think if they cut him, it's only like $3 million in dead cap. So, on paper, business decisions, it does make sense to part ways with Bobby Wagner. But when you see your young second-year linebacker miss a tackle that your 10-year veteran linebacker consistently makes, maybe it's not time to move on from the old wily veteran yet. That's my opinion. It's time to restructure his contract. Would be my suggestion.
Or maybe it's something that the team agrees with Bobby, where it's, did he make that? Sorry, I forgot that I have the DAZN app. So I'm watching it on my phone on my screen left of you. Or I mean, what they could do with Bobby Wagner too is you, instead of restructuring all 20 million of that, because that would be still part of the contract, you say, we would like to, give you a new contract, but we're going to, essentially release you right now from this contract, freeing up $17 million. And then we want to do a longer term extension with providing us some cap relief. That could be another option, right?
They tried doing that with Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
Different people, though.
Didn't work out.
2 different people.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, like if a team came to you and said, we still have you under contract for 1 more year, we would like to restructure, or we're going to cut you, but we want to bring you back. Like,
I think it's a really interesting debate. Our friend Sarah Ellison, who we had on the show, she's talked about this many, many times on Twitter of when teams have more than just a strict business relationship with their players, where you're not surprising them and you're telling them why you're just having those real and raw conversations. Those kind of things can happen. And to be honest, the Ravens have done it, maybe not with a Bobby Wagner level type player. That's basically telling your franchise guy, we don't think you're worth $20 million, but we'd still like to sign you for 14 this season to give us a little bit of cap relief, kind of thing.
And I don't think Bobby,
reciprocal relationship where it's like, look, we have to do this. You realize we have to do this. We're in a rebuild type mode. We can't be paying you $20 million, but you are the heart of our team. We need you here. I'm just saying, who knows? It could happen. Just because it didn't happen with Richard Sherman wouldn't mean that it's not going to happen with Bobby Wagner. But yeah, I think you are right. When it's that high profile of a guy, I think feelings sometimes get hurt a little too much.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see because Bobby's his own agent.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So he represents himself. So those hard conversations that most of the time GMs have with player agents, they have to have face-to-face with Bobby, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Russell Wilson had a rushing touchdown today, which it's like vintage Russell Wilson where nobody's open, he scrambles, and like right as he's like getting tackled by Budda Baker, he just extends the ball over the goal line, which I tweeted this as well. Like he is so good at that. Like just extending the ball. Like he knows where the first down marker is. He knows where the
situational awareness, right?
Yeah, situational awareness. He knows where the goal line is. Like even when it's like not even close to the first down, like if you ever see Russ scramble and head towards the sideline, every time he heads towards the sideline, he reaches the ball out for an extra like 1 or 2 yards on every play.
Yeah.
Just like it always impresses me that he just has like that much awareness to be like extra yards. Oh,
3 yards counts. It's so smart.
Yeah. But it was super, like he was super fired up. Like probably one of the most fired up I've seen Russ in his time in Seattle, and like runs to the sideline, huge high five with Pete Carroll, like just like, the smack on the shoulder pad. So, hopefully this isn't it. Hopefully this isn't the end for, I know I said a couple weeks ago, it's time to move on from Pete. I guess most of us Seahawks fans have kind of softened on that with the way they've played these last 5 games. I know they didn't win them all, but they actually played well and looked good. I don't know. Maybe Pete needs to give up some of his, VP of player personnel or whatever, front office position it is he has, and just be a coach again. Yeah. I do still think changes need to happen somewhere within the organization, but I hope it's not. It better not be Russell Wilson. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. I tweeted this out a couple weeks ago. Is Rashad Penny a thing? And guess what? Rashad Penny's a thing, man. Holy, 190 yards rushing today, career high. He had one touchdown for sure. He may have had 2 touchdowns. I can't remember. I only remember the 62-yard just burner. There was a gap that opened, and he just blew by everybody, including Baker Mayfield. So that was great to see. I mean, the Seahawks are at a point where they basically have no choice but to bring him back. If they don't bring him back, Seahawks fans aren't going to be happy about it. And I saw one thing today. They might even have to franchise tag Rashad Penny, because that might be the cheapest they can get him. By franchising him.
Yeah, I think it's. I know you said, like, are they going to franchise tag him? Like, absolutely not. But now that he's come on, it at least gives you, like, I know the Seahawks have a lot of cap space. It gives you at least one more year to see what you have, like making sure he can stay healthy, making sure he can, keep playing like he has on the tail end of this season. When you have that much cap space, why not? Why not at least see what you have in him before you give it up?
I think he's a better option at this point than Chris Carson. I mean, everyone always bags on Rashad Penny for not being able to stay healthy. Chris Carson's not been able to stay healthy either. So I at this point, I'd rather go with the guy that's a little bit younger, a lot fresher legs than Chris Carson. Hasn't taken as much of a beating as Chris Carson, and just roll the dice with Rashad Penny. How is that not a penalty?
And maybe you draft a running back in the mid rounds to kind of be a backup or be somebody to overtake Rashad Penny if his contract is too much, or if he still is getting hurt, or if he regresses back to his old ways. Like, there's so many options at that point.
And that's the thing. They already have a
problem to have, right?
They have options already. They still have DJ Dallas and Travis Homer under contract. They have Josh Johnson, who was an undrafted free agent this year. Didn't get any touches, but from what I saw of college tape, that's a guy that I would like to see more of for sure. Okay. Give him more opportunities next season. I'm okay with that, but I think it's, talking about needing to make changes. I think it's time to make a change at the running back position. It's time to move on from Chris Carson and get some fresher legs back there. A couple more things here. Gerald Everett, talking about time to make some changes. The Gerald Everett experiment did not work out. He had more moments this year that I remember negatively than I do remember positively. He had that game a couple weeks ago that was, I think he had 2 fumbles. He basically created a Russell Wilson interception. Today, he had probably what was going to be the easiest touchdown of his entire career. He was wide open, and Russ threw like just a little moonball floater to him. It hit him in the hands, and he dropped it. So I give my boy Will Dissly a chance. He looked good really good in his first 2 seasons. Unfortunately, got hurt in both of those first 2 seasons, and the Seahawks haven't really trusted him since. But I'd say give my guy a chance to be the number 1 tight end. Colby Parkinson is another guy that should get more field time. Gerald Everett was supposed to be the key to the Shane Waldron offense. He was supposed to be the guy that unlocks everything and just makes it like, oh my God, like this offense is so great. And he wasn't. And I'm ready to say sayonara. We always like to make fun of the Jaguars fans cheering for their team to lose in their home stadium. Why doesn't anybody talk about the Cardinals fans? I was watching the Seahawks game today, and late in the fourth quarter, loudly you could hear a Seahawks chant.
Really?
In the Cardinals stadium. And I don't know, man. Like, you don't see that in too many other, away stadiums. You don't see Niners fans coming up to Seattle or you don't even see that happen when Seahawks fans go down to San Francisco and so I don't know. Cardinals fans, be better. There's a reason why you're kind of like the forgotten child in the NFC West. None of us view you as a rival. It's because your fans suck. The team's just kind of like, whatever. You just kind of exist. So I don't know. Be better. And lastly, Quandre Diggs. Oh God, absolutely crushed for Quandre Diggs. I don't know if you saw what happened. He got hurt late in the game, like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game, maybe even less than that left in the game. And like, it was bad. Like, immediately players were like helmets off, kneeling around him. The benches kind of cleared out. Like, Fox didn't show him on the ground. They didn't show the replay of the injury. Like, they knew instantly it was serious. He had to get carted off the field, air cast on his leg, and they show him on the cart. He's got tears running down his face. He's absolutely bawling. They showed DJ Reed, cornerback for the Seahawks. He's crying. I guess at one point he threw his helmet in anger. He was so mad about the situation. And I just can't help but feel for the guy. It turns out he dislocated his ankle and broke his fibula.
Dang.
Yeah, so he's staying back in Arizona tonight, getting surgery tomorrow. Kind of a cool part of the story is Tyler Lockett is actually, he went to Pete Carroll and asked for permission to not fly back to Seattle with the team so he could stay back with Quandre Diggs. And when asked about it, Tyler's like, that's my brother, man. Like, that's
yeah.
I got to be here for him.
Good for him.
That part of it is really cool. And I mean, part of the reason why I'm so gutted for him, and I'm sure why, a lot of other guys are gutted for him. I mean, he's been nothing but the ultimate teammate since being here. He's a leader on this team. He represents the Seahawks so well. He plays hard. He was going to the Pro Bowl. But he's a free agent. He's a free agent tomorrow. Tomorrow when he wakes up, he's a free agent. He's on the open market now with a surgically repaired leg, right? And it just, I mean, it's like shades of Earl Thomas. Like, it
right.
Exactly what happened to Earl Thomas in the same stadium and everything. I mean, and it's just like us Seahawks fans are really starting to hate that stadium in Arizona. Earl Thomas played his last game in a Seahawks uniform in that stadium.
Yeah.
Cam Chancellor played his last game in a Seahawks uniform in that stadium. Richard Sherman played his last game in a Seahawks uniform in that stadium. Cliff Averill played his last game in a Seahawks uniform in that stadium. We have suffered a lot of injuries to very important players in that stadium, and I'm really hoping that this isn't the last time we see Quandre Diggs in a Seahawks uniform. Hopefully the team does right and see how much value he brings to the roster and re-signs him. That's what I'm really hoping for, is that they bring him back. Him and Jamal Adams as a team in the backfield have been phenomenal. So,
yeah, it was actually the first thing that I thought of when I didn't actually see it happen, and I don't need to go back and watch that, but it was the first thing that obviously Earl Thomas coming to the Ravens from the Seahawks. I know that story, more than just from you, being friends with me and being a Seahawks fan. So that was the first thing I thought of, was like, oh man, not again. Like, although I do know a team that's looking for DBs at least.
Back off. You back off. Yeah, and I'm glad Fox didn't show it. I have no idea what happened. Like, other than reading that he dislocated his ankle and broke his leg, and like seeing him in an air cast, obviously I knew he probably broke his leg. But not seeing the actual play or the replay, I'm really happy about. And sorry, I have one last thing to add before I'm done here on my Seahawks. Russell Wilson, you get a record as well. Russell Wilson is now the winningest quarterback in a player's first 10 seasons, breaking a tie with Peyton Manning. He has 113 wins, including postseason. So, which, if Peyton Manning could actually win in the postseason early on in his career, nobody probably would have even come close to something like that. Yeah. But I'm glad my guy Russ is now the winningest quarterback in his first 10 seasons. So I love in this Chargers Raiders game how they keep panning back to those two idiots wearing a Steelers jersey. Just like, I don't understand those. Like, oh, I'm going to a Raiders and a Chargers game, but I'm going to wear my Steelers jersey. Like,
and make sure that one of these teams wins. Like, is that your like ultimate goal? I guess. I don't know.
65 seconds left. Here we go. Anyways, that's my Seahawks recap. I mean, all in all, disappointing season, not the way I expected it to go. I obviously started the year with a lot of optimism. The Russ injury didn't help. The offense couldn't click right away. But if there's one thing I've learned being a sports fan, there's always next year.
There's always next year. Yeah, I was actually going to start the Ravens thing on a different note, but it makes a lot of sense to talk about the exact same thing that happened on my team. It wasn't in the last 5 minutes, but it was closer to the end of the game because he was having himself another phenomenal game. Ravens outside linebacker Tyus Bowser reported that he might have torn his Achilles in this game. So these big injuries in, January means that these guys probably aren't starting the season playing football. Like,
especially an Achilles.
An Achilles is, you're looking at a 12-month recovery. I'm always going to be hopeful that anybody, not just people from my team, but anybody returns healthy and earlier than what's projected. I mean, look at Cam Akers. Look at Derrick Henry. Like, I know they're kind of like special kind of specimens almost, but like if certain guys can come back from injuries, my hope is that Tyus Bowser can come back from injury, because man, was he having himself a year. So it sucks seeing those guys go out like that in a game where they get eliminated, especially. Obviously it's a little different when you're already eliminated and you get injured. That's going to cut into your next year's season. But just injuries suck. A big record has, I don't know if I want to call it a record, but the end of an era has happened in the Baltimore Ravens. Punter Sam Cook has missed his first career pass in the NFL today. They tried a fake punt. Sam Cook threw it. It was a nice throw. It was a little off target, not by much. I thought it was pass interference on the, I don't know what they call the people, covering the gunners, but he was just draped all over Tylan Wallace. Sam Cook it was either 7 for 7 or 8 for 8, with quite a few yards as a passer in the NFL. So his perfect record has now fallen. And I see you looking attentively. This is for the game or the tie. Vegas kicks, and it is going to be good. The Vegas Raiders are going to the playoffs. Damn, that means the Steelers are in the playoffs. I quit this podcast.
I really wanted to see a tie there more than anything. I wanted to see a tie there. We were so close.
We're so close to a tie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. I was gonna say if the Chargers made it in, they were gonna be the ones that I was cheering for. But whatever. Sucks to suck. I know the feeling. You guys know the feeling now. So yeah, so Sam Cook misses a pass for the first time ever. Yeah, they started off this game very, very sloppy. The Ravens committed a fumble that they lost, which center Bradley Bozeman snapped it into his own butt. Tyler Huntley picked it up very casually, nonchalantly, instead of just falling on the damn football. Like when things go wrong like that, just fall on the football, call it a play, move on from it. Like things like that happen, but no, of course, TJ Watt punches the ball out. The Steelers get the ball back. Tyler Huntley also threw an interception in the first quarter. He had himself, I think, an awful day. And for everybody, including our friend Ted Wong, who was asking me about, like, well, what do you actually think? I mean, he wasn't saying the Ravens should move on from Lamar, but there has been some chatter around the NFL and some so-called Ravens fans who are saying, or were saying, I would imagine, move on from Lamar Jackson. You won't have to pay him. Roll with Tyler Huntley. You're going to save all this money in cap space. And I'm just thinking, like, are you insane? Are you out of your mind? Like, Lamar Jackson would have won one of these 4 games for the Baltimore Ravens, and they would be a playoff team if Lamar Jackson was not hurt. I guarantee that. And I think Tyler Huntley played very well overall as a starter for the Baltimore Ravens in relief of Lamar Jackson, but he is not Lamar Jackson. And I just really hope that all of this silly talk about letting Lamar go is kiboshed. Don't be idiots. Know what you have. Know what you have is an insanely talented young man. First time ever getting injured. I'm looking forward to Lamar being back next year. Tyler Huntley ended the day 16 for 31 with 2 interceptions and that fumble we talked about. His passer rating was a paltry 37.2. Sam Cook, his passer rating was 39.6. And he was 0 for 1 on the day. So how they come up with those pass ratings, I'll never know. Huntley had some good runs on the ground, though. He had 72 yards on the ground. But as an all-around quarterback, I thought he didn't do enough to allow the Steelers, or to allow the Ravens to win. Someone who kind of came on strong today, though, that I just wanted to highlight really quickly, Latavius Murray had 150 rushing yards. He hasn't, been featured more than Devontae Freeman, but he was busting off huge rushes. In the second half, he went for a 46-yard touchdown run. Got me all excited. I was like, woo, let's go. Ravens are rolling. Like, this is what we were missing. These big plays, especially from the running back positions. What a way to open up the half. He then comes back in the next series with a 22-yard run. followed by the very next run, a 27-yard run. So he was rolling, and I just giving him a little shout out. I know he's most likely not going to be with the Ravens next year, but he had himself a good day. Mark Andrews is a friggin' beast. Another great day, 8 receptions, 85 yards. He was just shy of breaking the all-time tight end receiving yards record, passing Travis Kelce. I think he was only like, I want to say he was like 50 to 60 short, which is phenomenal. Like that, it's a phenomenal season for a guy who just signed a big contract, and he is proving he is worth every penny that they spent on him. He did set a single season receptions record for the Baltimore Ravens. He passed Derek Mason, who held the record or set the record in 2007 with 103 catches. So now the most receptions and most receiving yards in Baltimore Ravens franchise history belong to our tight end, which is kind of cool. So congratulations to Mark Andrews. Monster season. I am so excited to see where he takes it and how he can build off of that going forward. I don't think that's his best season as a pro. I believe by the time he retires, he will have a better season than that, because he's so young and he's just getting, when you think about the grand scheme of things, he's just getting acclimated into the NFL. Now, him and Lamar hopefully will have a regular, off season at some point in this crazy COVID world we call. And a couple other things. There's a lot of, I know you have talked a lot so far in the last few weeks about should Pete Carroll go, should Shane Waldron go. Well, the Ravens are not an exception to these conversations. There's people saying John Harbaugh needs to go. There are people who have been on the fire Greg Roman train forever. My thing is this: they put up an 8-9 season. I don't think anybody is free of blame in this season. I think there was a lot of external issues that played with their season in terms of injuries, and they had the one game there where most of their team was out with COVID. But guess what? You have to win games. You can't lose 6 in a row to end the season. So they were first in the AFC at an 8-3 record. And if you would have told me back then at 8-3, whatever episode we did there, by the way, Steve, the Ravens just have to win one of their last 6 games to make the playoffs, I would have said, easy money, baby. I'm not even going to watch them. Like, sign me up. We're going to the playoffs. But guess what? Nothing comes free in the NFL. And so I think if your GM is smart, and I believe Eric DeCosta is very smart, he's going to have these tough conversations with everybody. He's going to have tough conversations with John Harbaugh. Absolutely. He's the head coach of this team. They put up an 8-9 record. Would they be smart to get rid of him? Absolutely not. I am a huge Harbaugh supporter, and I think in a wild year like this, you kind of have to ask yourself, what is the alternative? If you think Harbaugh has lost the locker room and he's not a good coach anymore, and he's stagnant and he's just bringing the same ideas, then okay, I guess it's time to go. If you've become complacent, you probably have to go. I don't see that from John Harbaugh. I see a guy that's going for the win when his team is decimated at the end of a game, to try and win, to try and preserve, the longevity health of this team to finish off a season. I see a guy going for 4th down situations when, 5 years ago, he wouldn't have gone for those. I see a guy who has evolved Lamar Jackson from the Joe Flacco era and has put up, this season obviously didn't put up a winner, but he has put up some winning seasons. And again, if you want Harbaugh to go, who's the replacement? Who's better right now that you are going to get to lead this team? Who still is in a win now mode with Lamar Jackson not making the big bucks. And I don't think that person exists out there. So we'll see. My opinion on the coordinators is I think they both share some blames in the stuff that happened. And again, I think you just can't, these teams that fire their coach the day after everything goes down and like your emotions are just at the highest point. You're fired up. You're like, I can't believe we didn't make the playoffs. Like, this isn't us. And then you make these like just rash decisions. I think that's how you turn into the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that's how you turn into the Cleveland Browns of old, where it's just like everything is so reactionary that you're not making the best decision for your football club because you are making an instant decision when, you know, your emotions are heightened. So I whatever decision Eric DeCosta makes, he has so much more information on how to build a team and how to build a winner and what he's got in front of them than I do. I just really hope he takes his time, steps back from the emotional turmoil of losing this last game, and just, I guess, overview the team and really give yourself an honest, hard look in the mirror and say, what do we need to do to be a winner? And maybe that involves moving or replacing some of these coaches, but maybe also it doesn't. And I think you need to look at the entire season's body of work. What went well? What didn't go well? What would change if we made changes? And who's out there should we need to make changes? And I'm going to leave this one on a positive note because that's what I've been preaching to people on Twitter. Eric DeCosta has a lot of ammunition for the Ravens 2022 draft. And we just found out that we are going to be getting the 14th overall pick this year coming up. They have never picked at number 14. The closest is number 12 and number 16. Number 12, they picked Haloti Ngata. That kind of worked out for us, I'd say. And at number 16, they picked Marlon Humphrey. I would also say that worked out for us. So I think they're going to get an instant playmaker. They've got 5 picks in the top 105 picks. We're going to lose a lot of players. We're going to have a lot of ammunition to get players back. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about the season. It was a tough season. Obviously not the way I wanted to end. I wanted to end Ben Roethlisberger's career crying in M&T Bank Stadium. But I guess that's going to have to wait a week to see him cry and never play football again. So it gives me something to cheer against, at least. Like, I don't really have anybody to cheer for in the upcoming games. I like I said, I was going to pick the Chargers if they got in. They didn't. I don't know. I'm not going to make any crazy decisions, but maybe tomorrow I will announce who I am cheering for going forward.
I've got my team set.
Who are yours? Let's hear yours.
I'm gonna tighten up. Go Tennessee.
Okay.
And that's
it. You're just rolling one. Okay.
Rolling one because I hate every single team in the NFC. So I'm rolling with the Titans this year.
See, I don't have that like massive hate for a lot of teams. I'm gonna say the Raiders because they're playing the Bengals. So suck it, Liam. The Chiefs are playing the Steelers. Yeah, because the Titans got the bye. So I hope both those teams lose eventually, but obviously I want to see the Steelers just get blown out at Arrowhead. Like, I don't know, 79-2. Somehow they get like a safety or something like that. I don't know, maybe 79-0. Yeah, this is a tough one.
The only team I could possibly cheer for in the NFC is the Eagles, but screw them. Go Titans.
Yeah, the Eagles would be fun. A couple Alabama boys there. Maybe I'll get really. We'll have a little beef here, and I'll cheer for the Rams.
and end stream, quit show. See you guys.
All podcast has ended their reign.
The Mohawks podcasts are on hiatus until Steve gets a brain.
I like the Rams. They're flashy. They're fun. All right. Enough talks of teams that aren't ours in the playoffs. Let's go to everyone's favorite time of the week. Everyone's favorite segment, brought to you by Bad Tattoo Brewing in Kelowna. It's the third down segment. What do you have for us today, Chris?
Yes. Once again, third down.
Let's go.
Is once again presented by Bad Tattoo Brewing in Kelowna. Be sure to go sign up for the Bad Tattoo Beer Club at badtattoobrewing.com. You can get fresh beer, the freshest beer, shipped right to your doorstep all across Canada, whether you are in PEI or Vancouver Island, wherever you are in Canada, you can get that beer shipped right to your doorstep, and you want to order the winter mix pack. You don't want to miss out on those beers.
Yeah.
I'm doing dry January right now, so I've got a couple of the peanut butter chocolate porters sitting in my beer fridge right now, waiting for me for February 1st. And man, they're going to taste good on February 1st. Maybe I'll save them for Super Bowl. I don't know yet.
I realized that I hadn't had a beer all of January until this Friday. And after I played hockey, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I want a beer.
I'm not doing it because it's like, oh, it's dry January. Like I usually do this like once or twice a year anyways. I'll usually do like 1 or 2 months a year. It's for health reasons that I'm not drinking this month. It's time for Chris to be a little healthier and get some things back on track, and drinking reverses all of those things. So that's why I'm doing dry January, but you guys shouldn't. You guys should go to badtattoobrewing.com and order beer. I mean, I might go order some beer just to like tempt me till February 1st. Just to, like, I'll just like stick it on my kitchen table and it'll stare at me every day and be like, drink me, like Alice in Wonderland, like that little vial. Drink me, and I'm gonna drink it. And suddenly I'm gonna grow so big and I won't know what to do.
Like, I don't even have to work out. I just grow from this.
Oh, trust me, I do grow from beer. In all the wrong areas. Anyways, speaking of growing, this week for the third down, presented by Bad Tattoo Kelowna, I have the Gym Class Heroes Showdown.
Okay.
So, after a bit of a extended break for all the kiddos here in British Columbia, the kids are going back to school, which means some of those kids are gonna have to go to physical education class tomorrow, and teacher Steve Fisher is going to put them through the ringer, I'm sure. So this week I have some showdown of some of the classic gym class activities, sports that at least I remember from my childhood. Maybe they don't exist anymore, but Steve, are you ready?
This is definitely a weird one for me, but I think I've got the education to get the first down on this one, so I'm ready. Let's do it.
You teach gym class, don't you?
I do.
And if you don't get a first down on this one, yikes! All right,
and I'm quitting this show.
First matchup, we have volleyball versus basketball. It's kind of like one of the two that I remember like most from like the later years of elementary school, where it's just like, what are we gonna do today? Let's do basketball. Let's set up the volleyball nets, or the volleyball nets are already here. Let's do this. So volleyball versus basketball. Steve.
Well, you've got your classic indoor showdown here. So you've got your, now obviously we have a lot more students in a lot of schools, and so your gym time is kind of limited at best. So you've got one in volleyball, which is part of most schools have this as their indoor fall unit, and then you've got basketball, which is your winter one. This is a really tough one for me. These are two of my favorites. I have nostalgic memories of both of these, not only in high school but also elementary. These are the ones that I remember going to tournaments to, and we would go to, you know, you would play, I don't know, like 4 or 5 different schools from around your district, or wherever you were. And there was nothing better because you're supposed to be in school during those days. But instead it was basketball tournament day, and you get the day off and you get to go play basketball and usually have some food and stuff like that. I'm going basketball in this one.
Okay.
I don't know why. Like, usually I have a reason for these. I don't know, maybe to piss my teaching partner off because she's a volleyball coach. She just won nationals actually with the Boucherie Bears.
Boucherie Bears.
Boucherie Bears. They won
nationals.
Provincials.
Provincials. Okay.
Provincials. It was a big one for them. So
when I was in my senior year, my grade 12 year, the senior boys volleyball team won provincials.
Nice.
And same thing. I remember it being a very big deal.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't even on the team. I was like, hell yeah, that's my school. So
yeah.
Hell yeah, that's still my school. So congratulations to your teaching partner. So I guess if I started indoors, let's go outdoors for this next matchup. We have California kickball versus ultimate frisbee.
Ooh, couple good ones.
Ultimate frisbee is a bit of a new. Like, I remember that like maybe being introduced in like grade 11. I want to say like that was a bit of a later one in my school years.
Yeah, when I was going to school too, it didn't get introduced until those senior years. We do ultimate frisbee at the middle school level. Kids usually have a lot of fun with that one. I feel like it's one of those ones where, you know, who hasn't really thrown a frisbee? It's kind of like, you know, we do a badminton unit in the spring, and it's another one of those ones where you've done these things, you know, out camping or out at a park with friends, but I'm a big fan of those kickball variations, whether it's California kickball or you know, you can make any variation of kickball, and I feel like it's more accessible for all students to just kick a ball and run, right? As opposed to, you know, when you throw a frisbee, it's quite technical, and catching a frisbee on the run is you know, a little more challenging. So from a teacher perspective, I'm going to say it's a little more fun seeing, you know, more of your students into it. And I tend to see more of that with the kickball unit. So I'll pick kickball.
Yeah. I always loved kickball. One of my favorite variations is actually indoor one. I believe my teacher called it belly ball.
Belly baseball.
Yeah. Or like mat ball, where like they put out those big crash mats. Yeah. And so it's kickball, but you kick the ball, but then it's also like got a dodgeball like variant to it, where if they catch the ball and you're not on the mat, they can throw it at you and then you're out. But like if you're on the mat, you're safe. And yeah, that one was one of my favorite variations of kickball for sure.
And you'd come running into the bases and do like this big belly flop onto the big bases, and it's fun, right?
It's
like
fun.
You get to be goofy and fun.
Yeah, one of my best athletic feats was in belly baseball. I don't know how, like the girl was like maybe 2 feet away from me, not even. And I was like standing there, and I went to take the step as though I was going to go on the mat. She threw the ball. I took the step back. It somehow missed me, and I jumped on the mat. I don't know. Still to this day, don't know how I did it. But
greatest athletic feat.
One of the greatest athletic feats of my life is in gym class when I was 14 years old or something like that.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Here I thought you were like a competitive lacrosse player, and you actually did some cool things there.
Oh yeah, I did lots of cool things there, but like I expected to do those cool things. Doing cool things at school gives you street cred.
Oh my.
You know who has no street cred? People that say street cred.
That's right.
Yeah.
Jeez. Street cred.
Next matchup, we have the matchup of two things that always, when like the teacher said, "Oh, this is what we're doing today," you always kind of like groaned. I was like, "Oh no, not this today."
You're one of those.
I was. I mean, for one of these two things, I was. For the one that I didn't like, the milk run, hated it. Versus the beep test, didn't hate the beep test.
Wait, so I'm picking between two things that you hated?
No, I didn't hate the beep test. I actually liked the beep test.
Okay. So explain what the milk run is to me, because I don't actually know what that is.
Basically,
we had a milk run when I was going to school, but it could be something different.
I think it was like maybe a kilometer run. It was like a run around the block. Like I said, I want to say maybe it was a kilometer, and then they gave us milk at the end. So it was the milk run.
Really?
Yeah. I hated it.
Man, you guys got it easy. You had to run a kilometer and then you got a free thing of milk?
Something like that.
That's sweet. I don't know why you'd groan for that. Well, my class are way bigger athletes than you, Chris. They do a warm-up run is what we call it, and it's about a kilometer. And sometimes they groan, but most of the time they actually do a really good job of pushing themselves and setting goals. And you know me, I'm huge into fitness. So I actually don't do the beep test with any classes, and I've never done it for specific reasons. So I'm picking your milk run, or what we would call a warm-up run. Just because I like daily activity where it's not too tough. Everyone looks at like the beep test and they think to themselves like, oh, the beep test is going to kill me. Well, it turns out it actually did for some people, which is why I specifically don't use it. So I like seeing when kids can set a goal in whatever athletic thing they want to do. You know, this one would be like a little warm-up run. And they feel good about it when you can give them strategies to kind of, beat their run by like 2 seconds and in a second. And I keep track of them, and then I show them like where they've gone from like September all the way to June. And it's kind of cool when a kid's like, whoa, I took like a minute and a half off my run. I'm like, yeah. So I'm picking the warm-up run or your milk run. I kind of cheated that one because I don't give my kids milk after they run. Like, to me,
it was like a thing. It was like a
Anchorman, right? Like, milk is such a bad choice.
Yeah, it was like a thing, and like they like had like medals for like the top 3 finishers. Like it wasn't like just gym class. Like it was like a school thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So
like everyone did. Like it was like a once. No, yeah, it was like a once a year thing. Like I said, like I think it was a kilometer. I don't really remember because I hated it, and I cheated one year. Me and my best friend cheated, and we did the run, and then we started we saw people starting to head back. So we're like, let's just turn around and head back, and we actually got medals for being like 2 of the top 3 finishers. We would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for that meddling teacher.
Good for that teacher.
He came in right behind us. He's like, no. These guys didn't even do the run. He's right. We didn't.
Can we still have our milk though? Do you have chocolate or strawberry?
No, it was plain white milk. But
do you have any like Nesquik or something we can throw in this chocolate milk for, like real upstanding students like us?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, if there's one thing I wasn't, it was an outstanding student. Yeah.
Oh, I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun fact, one of Steve's teaching partners is one of my old teachers.
All great things though, Chris. All great.
Yeah. Surprisingly, she does say great things to you about me. I don't know why.
I was like, I don't think it's the same Chris.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same Chris either.
Did you teach 2 like Chris and Phillips are pretty like common names? Maybe it was Phillips Chris that you actually taught, and you're just getting them backwards.
Yeah, it was a different kid at that school that you definitely remember because it's not me. Anyways, she was a great teacher. The last matchup, I'm going to call it the heavyweight matchup because we all looked forward to these days. Dodgeball versus floor hockey.
Oh, interesting. I kind of assumed one of those was going to be in there. Probably 2 heavyweights when I was going to school. You already know where my answer is going with this. And
Blah blah blah. I met my wife playing dodgeball.
it's more than just the fact that I play dodgeball outside of school, and I do think it's a great game. There's so many variations you can do with dodgeball. Um, the one that I've been playing for the last few years that gets, and I'm not exaggerating, 100% of kids sweating uncontrollably because they're just so into this game is everybody's at dodgeball. And like basically you hit somebody, they sit down. When the person who hit you gets hit, you get to stand back up. So like I'm trying to teach them about like alliances and like backstabbing people and strategy on how you can be the one to win. And it's a game that honestly, I've never seen a grade 7 student win this game. Not once have I seen a full class, because you have to get every other person out. So, the competitive juices start flowing with all these kids, and they're trying to make teams, and someone in their team like backstabs them and they make a new team. And it's just so fun to watch. As a PE teacher, my goal for everything is to get kids up, moving, active. That's literally my biggest goal. I want everybody to participate. I want you to, get a good workout in, essentially, whether that's running through dodgeball or playing basketball or whatever the activity is that you get, your heart rate up and you're active. So it's dodgeball for me. That's the one I like that's the one I see them getting really involved in, and that's a lot of fun for me as a teacher.
So it's like a free for all dodgeball, like no
It's
teams,
a
like
free for all, no teams, but there's like unwritten teams and like
alliances and
yeah, and going back to volleyball there, when in the fall when the volleyball nets are set up, and your class has a gym period, and maybe some kids aren't as into volleyball, and you want to reward them. I have this really fun variation of everybody's at dodgeball with the volleyball nets set up, and you can throw under the nets, but you can't go under the nets. You can only like run through the middle of the nets. And it's just a lot of fun, a lot of engagement. So that's why I would pick it.
yeah. All right. So quick recap: dodgeball, kickball, California kickball or kickball, the milk run, and basketball. Steve, I could probably guess, but what's your MVP?
I think this is a lot tougher than you think it is. All of those 4 that I picked, I really enjoy teaching them. To be honest, everything I teach, I actually enjoy teaching, or I would just change it and do something else. It is coming down to dodgeball and kickball, and this is so it's coming down to these 2 because there's so many variations of both of these games, and that's what makes a champion of these gym class hero games. Is basketball, it's pretty hard to do a bunch of variations of basketball. You can do like bump, and you can do dribble knockout, and all these fun kind of like off games of it. Or running, obviously you can do some different things with running, or tag games or stuff like that. Yeah, I think you think you know what I'm gonna pick, but I've got like these 2 like people on my shoulders, like, oh, pick the one you really like, and this one's like, oh, pick the one that more people would want you to pick. I am going to, you know what? Since I said it was all about variation, I'm going to pick kickball, because you can play kickball. There's a lot of variations you can play of kickball outside as well as inside. It's a lot harder to play dodgeball variations outside. So I'm thinking like spring or early fall, when it's way too hot to be in the gym and you just want to be outside in the nice weather. You can do some California kickball. You can do other variations of kickball. So I'm going way off of my script and picking kickball for the champion this time.
I Jedi mind tricked you, and I knew you were going to pick kickball.
No, you didn't.
I did, because I was like, he thinks I'm probably thinking like, oh, he's going to pick dodgeball. I'm like, no, he's going to pick between dodgeball and kickball, but he's going to eventually pick kickball. Anyways, So kickball is your MVP of the gym class heroes. I loved kickball. Kickball is one of those games that everyone was excited to play kickball because everyone could, like you said, everyone could play kickball, whether it be indoors, whether it be outdoors, whatever variant existed or the teacher decided to throw at us that day. Kickball, I mean, at the end of the day, kickball was kickball, and it was still a lot of fun. Like, oh man, like I wonder how far I can kick this thing today, right?
And then someone's out in the field and they catch it on you, and you're like, "Oh, right, I forgot about that part of it."
Yeah, or like the indoor ones, like, oh, like I'm gonna try and kick it into like the far basketball net. And like that. It was always fun, like trying to do those things, and like if you did kick it into the basketball net, it was like automatic home run, and yeah, always a lot of fun. Let's see, you're close. You're close. Like we're gonna have to pull out the chains here on this one. And
I wonder if Liam's still on. He's the booth on these.
All right, and we're measuring, and let's see here.
Love your like.
Fourth down. He didn't get it.
Give me a break.
It wasn't. I love kickball, but it's because you chose the milk run. Thank yourself.
It was the milk run or the beep test.
There was a flag on the play. You push yourself back 5 yards. You couldn't make it up. Just sorry, man. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them.
Well, just like you were wrong at the start of the show, you're also wrong at the end of the show, and oddly enough, in the middle of the show. But that's your thing. I disagree. I'm going to throw the challenge flag on this one. So if you guys want to...
Sorry, there's no challenges. We're inside 2 minutes.
On Twitter, I've thrown the challenge flag. So let's see if people agree. Maybe we'll do a poll. Maybe when I throw my challenge, we should do this for next season, is I should get like 2 challenge flags a year. And then when I throw the challenge flag on third down, we have to take it to a Twitter poll to see whether the call is overturned or whether it stands. That would be kind of fun. You can give them like all the matchups, what I picked, and then who the MVP was. Because you would be wrong. You'd be wrong on this one.
I'm not wrong. I'm never wrong, Steve. Haven't you learned that yet?
Yeah. All right, we're over the hour and a half marker here, so we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. Another fun episode. We're gonna be back next week. Not talking about our teams, but it's playoffs.
Hey, maybe we will. Who knows? Yeah, I just want to win a game.
I just want to win a game. Thank you again to Lake Therapy Apparel, who is our newest sponsor. You guys are going to see some of that gear coming out soon. But if you don't want to wait for that, because why would you want to wait a whole week? Go to laketherapyapparel.ca. Check out some of their merchandise. And again, use the code BALLHAWKS, all capitals, to get 10% off of your order. There's no minimums in there. The shipping is super fast on it too. We're in BC, just a few hours away from where they're based out of, but very quick shipping with that kind of stuff. Thanks again to Bad Tattoo Kelowna for being our third down sponsor. And we are also on the Dean Blundell Network. You can check out our episodes and our articles there at deanblundell.com. And I kind of don't want to give you the last word here because you're a goon, but I'm a nice guy, so I'll do it reluctantly.
I was gonna say, did you see me just throw my arms up? Say, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, maybe I'm taking your role because you're a bad ref.
You apparently are taking my role, and I'm glad Liam's no longer watching because Liam would agree that I am a bad ref. So, going back to our lacrosse days. Thank you guys, everyone, for listening. Give us a follow on Twitter at ballhawks_pod. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Please subscribe to our YouTube page. You can find us over there as well. The Ballhawks podcast. You can find me on Twitter at PhillipsChris12. Even though they're not playing, again, till next September, I'm sure you'll see me tweeting about the Seahawks aplenty. between now and then. You can find Steve over on Twitter at ssfisher87. I don't know what he's going to tweet about in the off season. Maybe food or something like that. Maybe I don't know.
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. Hunting, shooting things.
Yeah.
Bears. Rawr. Anyways, guys, we really appreciate everyone listening to us and following us through our first full NFL regular season. We're not going anywhere, though, guys. You can catch us here next week again. We're going to keep on doing this thing weekly as we have been. And, hey, they're not playing, guys, but I'm going to say it anyways, and I mean it. Go Hawks.
I'm actually stealing your last word here. Go Bama. Roll Tide. Peace.
Go